Hey Flosstube, my name is Allie and this is Allie Stitches. Welcome to my channel. Today is January 27th, 2022, and this is Flosstube episode number 7. So I am happy to be back, happy to be here filming another Flosstube just a few weeks after my last one. So hopefully back in the swing of things. And yeah, I have a lot to talk about, so I do want to jump on in right away. I'll just say that I hope my lighting situation is good. I'm still kind of figuring things out with where I want to film in this new house, so bear with me as I do some trial and error with that. Yeah, so diving in, I do want to mention that my husband and I took a trip this last week to Utah to celebrate some dear friends of ours getting married. It was an absolutely gorgeous wedding. My husband was a groomsman in the wedding. This was a good friend of his from college. They were in a fraternity together. And so yeah, being out there celebrating the wedding, this was just a really fun opportunity to see Utah and partake in the wedding festivities there. And this the wedding was actually supposed to happen in March of 2020. And for obvious reasons, that did not happen. They pushed it not once, but twice. So all the way to January 2022. And it was absolutely gorgeous. I totally understand why they wanted to keep their original plan. They had it at the top of a ski resort there in Utah, and just the view from the lodge there where they had the wedding was absolutely gorgeous. It just looked like a painting, like it didn't even feel real to some extent. But if you check out my Instagram account, I did post a picture of my husband and I with that gorgeous view behind us, so you can check that out there. And yeah, it was a great trip. And I did get some stitching done on the trip, so that was good. But I wanted to mention it in particular in relation to my stitching because that trip gave me the opportunity to visit another LNS. So, before we left for the trip, as many stitchers do when they're traveling, I looked up Needleworks shops in the area that we were going to be in. We were staying in Ogden, Utah, which is a little bit north of Salt Lake City. And not only did I find that there was a Needleworks shop close by, or in Ogden, Shepherd's Bush is the name of the Needleworks shop. But when I went to get directions from our hotel to see can I walk there? Can I, that was best case scenario, right? Can I take an Uber? How far away is this, the shop, right? It was literally across the street from our hotel. So I was pretty pumped, needless to say. And yeah, I got to go to Shepherd's Bush. They not only are an LNS, but they have designs of their own, and I think they host retreats and stuff. So very well-known shop. I had heard of them before, and so I was very excited to be able to go there and get a few things. So I definitely have some haul here for this video. So per Flosstube typical format, I will wait until after showing my projects to go into the haul that I got there. But it was very, very fun, very exciting. So I will dive into my projects. Like I said, I have a lot to talk about today, and so I will just get into it. I have one finish, which was also a start, so I'll start with that. And then I have a handful of whips, and then I do have a few other starts, they're not finishes yet, that I will show as well. So I will start with my finish. This is my Brooks Books Publishing Advent Animals, and this was on my WIPGO board, which it was called once in the January goals. So the goal was to start and finish, or finish the next animal in the series, which for me was number 4, Duncan Dog. So here is Duncan Dog, and he is just so fun. There's a lot of detail in these little patterns, just with the back stitching and the texture that's created with some of the colors. This one in particular had a little bone on a bow on the bone, which was actually kind of harder than I thought it would be when I went to go do it. But I made it through and it works. I maybe could have made it easier on myself by doing it differently, but got it to work. So yeah, there's my finish for this video. And I'm stitching these with the DMC that's called for, and this is on blue spruce Belfast linen, so 32 count linen. And these are free patterns that you can find on the Brooks Books Publishing website, and I'll be sure to include a link below of where to find those. So so that was my only finish. And next I'll get into my whips, and I'll start first with one of the whips that I have. That was the other project that was called for my WIPGO goals here for 2022. And this is my winter carriage ride. I talked about my WIPGO goals in my last video, so you can definitely check out that video to get the full rundown of all of my goals and everything. But I'll put a picture here of the finished design, and my WIPGO goal for January was to complete everything up until the line that kind of separates, the first line that starts to separate like the image from below and the words on the word winter on the top and everything up there. And so I not only completed that goal, I did surpass it a little bit. Hopefully you can see all that stitching there with the lighting as it is. But yeah, I can't remember exactly what I had left when I showed it in my last video, but I definitely still had a little bit of this scene here to finish up, and you know, definitely with some of these snowflakes and everything. But I was able to not only finish that, got the first line there, some of the purple little border design here. There's like another line. Then I kind of skipped ahead and went and got this tree and kind of icicles done. So I still have a little bit left with this one, but I met my goal for January, so that was awesome. And yeah, I envision finishing this one even, you know, hopefully soon, probably before the next time it's called as well. I don't know for sure. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. I have a lot of stuff that I want to work on. So yeah, there's my whip. I'm stitching this with the called for colors, which is mostly DMC, but there are a few Weeks Dye Works flosses in there. And this is on Belfast linen, so 32 count linen in Oaken. And I don't remember the dyer of that, but I got it on 123 Stitch, so you can look that up. Yeah, and I'll include the link to the pattern for this design. This is the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I can't remember if I mentioned the designer there. So the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery there. And those were my January WIPGO goals. So I did meet my January WIPGO goals. And I will talk about kind of my reward system for myself. Well, like maybe I can mention here. So I decided last time I talked a little bit about like what are going to be my rewards for completing my goals, or you know, how am I going to kind of gives myself incentives kind of out of this WIPGO 2022 experience. And I thought about playing off the whole bingo card thing of WIPGO, but I honestly, that it was just going to be too long until I got a bingo. And so I wanted to kind of start rewarding myself earlier on, because I mean, honestly, I don't have that many whips right now, and I definitely have some projects that I want to get started. So I figured I would reward myself a little bit earlier. So I decided that for every month that I complete my WIPGO goals, or, you know, I have them completed by the end of the month, I will reward myself with a new start. So yeah, it's quite a few starts for the year if I'm able to kind of keep up with my goals, but we'll see as the year goes on if that feels like it's too many or maybe it's too little. Who knows? And yeah, I have some exceptions to that rule of like, you know, there might be some other things that I start that aren't going to be subject to that, especially things that are like on my WIPGO board. So like my Hello Petal and my Hello Sunshine from Caterpillar Cross Stitch, like I will work on those, you know, without needing to feel like I need or not needing to use like a new start that I've earned, because those are part of my WIPGO goals. So that kind of makes sense. So yeah, I'll get to that with one of my new starts later, of what I kind of did for my January new start once I met my goals there. And then today, the 27th, actually the next two numbers, so the February numbers were called. They were 5 and 17. So I will put my board up here, just so you can kind of see, I guess, what that looks like. And so 5 and 17 are the Fruit of Plenty, and the Christmas wreath, the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery Christmas wreath. So I will show my Fruit of Plenty now because I have worked on it. I showed my Christmas wreath in my last video, and I have not worked on it since, so I won't show that one. But yeah, I will have some progress definitely on both of these before next video as well. But I will show my progress on my Fruit of Plenty now. So this was a Modern Folk Embroidery, or the 2021 SAL for Modern Folk Embroidery. Because I stopped kind of stitching last year, I didn't get very far. I knew I wasn't going to probably keep up with it in the first place, but definitely was hoping to be farther with it than I am now. And yeah, when I showed it last time, I had the January block done, and I had a little bit of the February block started, not very much. But this project, of all the projects that I have on my WIPGO board, is probably the one I'm the most concerned about, like, finishing when it gets called. I still am not worried about it, but just know that it might be a little bit more of an effort to complete that goal in those months that it's called. So I decided to spend a little bit of my January working on it so that I could get ahead. So here is where I am at. Ooh, oh no, sorry, that probably sounded worse than it was. So here is the January, and then this is the February. So like I said, I had just probably a little bit of this started, before my last video. And so I started to build out this kind of shape there, and then fill in. I mean, this is pretty much full coverage. It's using that negative space. So that was a lot of stitching there, and I'll continue down. So I am using DMC 550 and 553 to stitch this, and then I'm adding some gold Kreinik in certain areas. So in the January block, I used it on the bowl. I've used it on the crown here. In February, there might be some other things. So I have some ideas of where I'm going to add it in kind of throughout the piece, but probably just play it by ear as well. So I do believe I will finish it in this century. So I did go ahead and put the 20 on there. And then, yeah, the bottom is where the other year will go. So we'll see when I get it actually finished. But I figured that was a safe thing to go ahead and get in there. Yeah, and then this is on 40 count mallow linen. So it just helps to keep it a little bit smaller because this will be a very large piece, as I'm sure you've probably seen it other places. So yeah, excited to keep going on that. I did drop, this is a little container that I kept some of the Kreinik pieces in, and so not a big deal. It's, again, like I said, it sounded worse than it was, I promise. All right, so some of the other whips that I've been working on, I took this next one with us to Utah, and I worked on it quite a bit on the way there. So this is the Augusta National Golf Course by Awesome Pattern Studio. And the reason I really worked on it, not that I didn't want to work on it, but was that this makes a great travel piece, and I kind of knew that going into it a little bit. So I had just barely a start on it, just a few stitches just to really say that I had restarted it, because technically I had restarted it. And yeah, I'll show you my progress, I guess. This is where I'm at now. So nothing too exciting to look at quite yet, but this is quite a bit of stitching. I started with this lighter green because it starts in the very corner there. And I started working this way, just doing one leg of the stitch. And then, then I've started to come back. And what made it a great travel piece is by doing that and kind of setting myself up with just the one leg. I didn't have to look at the pattern when I was kind of doing the other leg back the other way. And then also for this darker green, since it kind of went from the bottom of the chart just up until that lighter green, I was able to just, keep stitching without having to look at the pattern, and just kind of start filling in. So I will be able to do that all the way to the end over here without looking at the pattern. So yeah, got quite a bit done when we were traveling to Utah. And yeah, this was another reason it's a great travel piece is that I'm stitching it on 18 count Aida. And as you can maybe tell as I go through my projects, I don't stitch on Aida a lot. it's great to work with, obviously. So, I mean, I totally understand the appeal of Aida, but especially just being white Aida, definitely a good one to work on while traveling too. If you're not really sure of like the lighting situation or, you know, bumpiness, either in the car or the plane, it's a great one there. So this is on my WIPGO board as like when it gets called, I'll work on it for a few days. So, you know, this progress doesn't count towards that, but it was still fun to get out and a great one to just have on the trip there. Like I said, I'm stitching with 18 count Aida, or on 18 count Aida, and with the Help 4 DMC. I feel like I'm going pretty fast. One, because I want to make sure I'm getting through things quickly, but also because when I've been watching Flosstube, I mentioned this last time, I watch it at 1.5 speed. So I feel like I'm probably talking the speed that I think I should be talking, even though that's not the actual speed that people talk, because they don't talk at 1.5 speed. So if I'm going too fast, I apologize. You can always slow it down. Like there is a setting to slow down your videos. So if I'm talking too fast, you can always slow it down. Yeah. Oh, I have one other whip. Let me sidebar. All right. I had this ready to go and then I kind of forgot about it. I took it again. So the other whip I have not shown this in a while. I didn't show it in my last video, but I had started this pattern. This is Hugs and Kisses by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, and I'll put a image here of the final pattern. I started this last year around Valentine's Day, or kind of leading up to Valentine's Day, and I had done the border, and then I realized I made a mistake on the border because I made an assumption that was wrong, and then I had to like frog some of it and redo it. So yeah, I got it back out because, you know, we're leading up to Valentine's Day here quickly, and thought it'd be fun to stitch on. And this, yeah, I had pretty much just the border done mostly. I think I still had a little bit of the border left, and I think maybe I had one of these chocolates down in the corner kind of started. But yeah, I've mostly stitched kind of the inside there. So it'll say Hugs and Kisses and Candy Wishes. I have and Candy Wishes and most of the kisses done there. So I just have a little bit of the top. So, I mean, these are really quick stitches. These are the seasonal sayings from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. And they have, you know, a whole series that are all kind of these dimensions with this border on them. Or, you know, different colors. And yeah, this one has been, I keep this one by my desk here at home when I'm working from home. So I do work from home most of the time. We've been starting to go back in the office. Before COVID, we didn't work in the office at all. Or sorry, we didn't work from home at all. But with COVID, we all started working from home. And we haven't been like required to go back in the office yet, but I've been starting to like once a week, except for the last couple weeks just with the traveling and things like that going on. But normally I'll be in the office like once a week. But anyway, so the other 4 days a week, I'm still working from home right now. And I find that in some meetings, I just need something to kind of keep my hands busy to make sure that I'm not like multitasking with things that are going to mentally distract me. So having this kind of handy, I have, you know, the whole project bag. I have like, I just splashed a little bit of it there, but I have, you know, I normally do my PDF or my patterns via PDF, but I have this one printed out on paper there. So it's, you know, and I have a little scissors ready to go. So everything's right there that I need to like work on it, so that I'm not like wasting time or, you know, like getting distracted by having to get up. But there's just some meetings. It's not a lot. Like this is, I mean, over a week worth, probably 7 or maybe even more work days of work. And today I maybe got like half of the E and this part of the S done during one of the meetings. So I'm not spending like a lot of time during work stitching. But sometimes it's good because otherwise I tend to get distracted by other work things that are, you know, kind of taking my mental attention away. So if I can have some stitching, that helps me like stay a little more engaged in some of the meetings that I have for work. So this is the one that's been keeping my attention during those, or not keeping my attention, but keeping me busy during those. So yeah, I might get through this pretty quick. I might, all of a sudden not really have progress on it if I either don't have meetings or those meetings are pretty intense. I can't do this in all meetings for sure, but I don't know why I'm going on and on about stitching during meetings or stitching during work, but yeah, that's Hugs and Kisses from the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. And I'm doing this with the called for colors, which is kind of half and half DMC and weeks dye work. So similar to my other Frosted Pumpkin, they have, just a few of those weeks dye works incorporated there. And then this is Belfast linen, so 32 count linen in the color baby pink. So, and I don't have a needle minder on this one, and I have a perfect needle minder for this piece. I need to track that down and get it. It's like a little porcupine and a little pin cushion with pins in it, and it's like love. Like my husband got it for me for Christmas last year, not like 2020. Anyway, all right. So those are all my whips that I had started and just made some progress on. So next I have some new starts. So I'll first show, this is a series I kind of have been working on, I guess. This is the Snow Village series from Cottage Needleworks. And I started my third one. So I have two of them done. I won't show them all now or anything, but this is the third one that I've been working on, and it is Peppermint Parlor. And I determined that these were going to be my snow day pieces. So anytime it snows, I will, kind of get this out and work on it for that day or the next few days, depending on, sometimes it snows, and I live in Iowa, so it definitely snows here. But, sometimes it snows, and the effect of, the amount of snow and the roads and everything can kind of go on for, a second day, or, even if it's not snowing on that day or whatever. But anyway, so yeah, I started Peppermint Parlor, and we did have one big snow day here that lasted into the night, and then, definitely the roads were still very much affected the next day. So I worked on this on those couple days, and then I also brought this to Utah, and it snowed one day while we were out there. I figured that was probably a pretty good bet, so I brought it with. So I stitched on it, not that day, but the next day, just because we were kind of busy. But yeah, I got to stitch on it while we were in Utah, when it snowed there once. And yeah, so I have a decent amount of progress on that. I figure it'll, we're still just late January here. I figure it'll continue to snow, during February and March here in Iowa. So hopefully I'll be able to get some good progress on this series. But that was a new start that I had since, I didn't show those in my last video, but since last time I showed them, I guess that's a new start. And then my other new start, so I talked about my WIPGO goals, and if I meet my goals, I get to start a new project. So I decided that I was going to start a project that I can display at my office at work, or in my cube at work. So like I said, we are starting to go back into the office a little bit, and actually last year, at the end of the year, so I talked about in my last video with my exam process and kind of everything with that. I kind of reached a designation in my professional career, and with that designation and the fact that I was qualified in the other required ways, I actually got promoted at my job. And so with this promotion, I actually got a bigger cube at work. I get like a little desk and chairs, so that if I want to meet with anyone on our team or other teams, I have the ability to do that kind of just at my desk a little more easily than like my smaller cube would allow. And so with the bigger cube, I have a little more space, and I was like, this looks like a great opportunity to display some cross stitch, because I'm definitely not going to use the space for like binders and stuff. I mean, we've become very, green in the last few years with kind of not having to deal with any paper when you're working from home. It just doesn't make sense to do anything on paper. So I have a lot of space and nothing to put there. So for work at least. So get some pictures up and get some cross stitch projects up. So I put a survey out on my Instagram account for a few different designs that all had the saying "Office Sweet Office" on them. And one of them technically was Home Sweet Home, but I was like, well, I'll rechart it to say Office Sweet Office. And yeah, I went with one of the designs there was actually two designs that kind of tied for first with the voting system that I had going on there. And so I went with one of those two designs. Ultimately decided on, it's this design, so it's Office Sweet Office by Stitchrovia, or Emma Congdon. And I just love the typography that she does. I mean, I'm sure we've all fallen in love with one of her pieces one way or another. They are just genius. And I love this one. Some of the other ones I was looking at had more kind of decorative borders around like the words Office Sweet Office, but I just, so this one's a little more like plain, I guess, if you will, on the border, but I just love the typography that she has, and the flowers on the top and the bottom are really pretty too. So yeah, I started this piece after we got back from Utah. I was maybe thinking I could find another piece of fabric potentially, but I did have some fabric in my stash that I ended up going with, so nothing that I bought new. But yeah, I started this just the other day once we got back, and here is my start on it. So a decent amount of a start. So I have like pretty much this whole flower at the bottom here. I am still missing one of the DMC colors, so I just need one more color to complete everything I have kitted up here for this project. So once I have that, I'll have a little bit more on this flower area, but otherwise kind of can continue to work up with the border. Actually, I'll probably start on the words, and as much as I'll hate to have to do the border last, you know, just the counting of it will probably be easier to do once I have more on there. So yeah, this is Office Sweet Office, and my start there. I'm so excited to have this one going. So this is my new start with the fact that I completed my WIPGO goals for January. So it might be a while before I get it done and, you know, put up in my office or my cube, but that's okay. I have to maybe find some other things I can display in there for the time being as well. So I am stitching this with the called for DMC. Like I said, I'm kind of waiting on one, or I need to get one more color. They didn't have it at the shop at Shepherd's Bush in Utah there. Did I say it was Shepherd's Bush? I'm pretty sure I said it was Shepherd's Bush. Oh gosh, I'm losing it. Okay. But this piece of fabric that I have, I wish I had, maybe I'll have to make sure I show that in a future video. Forgot I still had it on the Q-snap. I didn't want to take it off. But this is a 32 count linen that I got when I was at another LNS, Golden Needle, down in Port Charlotte, Florida. And it's from Black Cauldron Dye Works, and it's the color Tropical Depression. So I have a fat quarter of it, so it's a pretty big piece of linen, and I definitely won't be using that much of it, so I'm trying to maximize kind of the leftover linen that I'll have left. So I have a lot, you know, rolled up here, and I'll definitely have a lot left over. So I will definitely get that out and show it in a future video, but that is the linen that I'm using to stitch that on. I wanted something a little on the fancier side, something, you know, kind of over dyed. I thought about even, you know, maybe getting some fancy floss to stitch it as well. You know, I'd love to show off kind of all the fun things that the cross stitch world has to offer. If I'm putting something at my desk, you know, I want it to be a conversation starter. I want it to be, you know, something that I can kind of share subtly my hobby with people that come by my desk. And so I thought, you know, kind of showing off some of those things would be fun, but I'm just going with the DMC for this one. So that was my other start. All right. So, like I said, I have lots of haul. Oh, dropped on my floss for that one. Put that over here. I have lots of haul. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I mentioned it was the Shepherd's Bush was the shop in Ogden, Utah. That was right across the street from our hotel while we were there, and got lots of stuff. I went over there not once but twice while we were staying, because again, it was right across the street, and we were in Utah for 5 nights. With, you know, we had stuff kind of going on every day for wedding, or they knew a lot of people are going to be traveling into town, so they had a lot of things kind of, you know, available for us to kind of go and do things with the bride and groom, or activities set up. But we still had a lot of downtime, and especially like during the day when the shop was open. So went there the first full day that we were there, and then went back the second day on my own. So the first day I was with my husband, and we actually kind of got cut off a little bit for time just because we had plans with people for lunch. Like I said, it was a fraternity brother of my husband's, and there was a lot of fraternity brothers in town, so we had plenty of people to see and hang out with that were also there for the wedding. So yeah, we had lunch plans, so I did kind of get cut off there, and so I went back the next day. So the first day that I went, I focused my attention initially on fabric, because I feel like I want to build up a little bit of my fabric stash. I don't have like a ton right now. That Tropical Depression piece from Black Cauldron Dye Works is kind of one of the few, like, I don't know, fun, like, fancy fabrics. I have a few from Fortnite Fabrics that I signed up for their Fabric of the Month Club last year, and I kind of fell off, but it's mostly because I wasn't stitching anymore. So I wasn't really paying attention to the invoices and everything. And they also had a shortage on linen. So anyway, I don't have a whole lot of like fabric stash. And so I wanted to get some stash. So tried to find some things that I knew would be great pieces that could, you know, be good potential for a lot of different projects. I didn't have really any projects in mind going in, other than maybe one kind of chart that I thought, oh, maybe if I find something. But I think I do have something maybe that I got here that could work for it, but I'm not even necessarily attached to that. But yeah, so I found a lot of fabric, some good stuff. So the first few pieces I have are, start with this one. This is, it's a Belfast 32 count linen. If you can't tell, 32 count linen is my go-to, and Belfast linen, I guess, is nice. I think I just kind of like picked that and I like it and I just went with it. So I would like to kind of try some other things. I am kind of diving in more into 40 count a little bit. But anyway, I still kind of stuck with my preferred for these pieces where I don't really have anything in mind quite yet. But yeah, this is Belfast 32 count linen in the color Stormy Night. And I should have ironed these. My bad. You know, they were folded up in different ways on the shelf there, and you know, they were in a bag, bringing them home and everything. So they're not exactly like ironed, but you can probably tell though that this has a very pretty, like, you know, variegation to it. It's a nice, yeah, solid, or not solid, varied gray there, but it's a good kind of gray. And you might be able to tell from the walls in my house from these few videos that I've done, the aesthetic of our house is like gray and whites for the trim and everything. So I think, you know, having some grays to do some projects on will be good if I want to kind of, you know, have the ability to incorporate them into our decor more, versus like some browns and stuff that wouldn't quite fit the decor that we have. So yeah, that's the one side, is this kind of variegated pattern there, but you can see on the back, so this must be a printed kind of effect that's going on here, because the back of the fabric is just a solid, very solid gray. Might be kind of hard to see with all the wrinkles and stuff, but so I think this kind of pattern is just like printed on. So I could use it on either side if I'm really wanting something like a solid gray. This, you know, I could maybe stitch on something on the sides, but yeah, this is, it's not a fat quarter. It's like a big square. I don't know the dimensions. I need to probably measure it. But yeah, pretty good sized piece of fabric there for Stormy Night. And that did not have, yeah, I don't know. This must just be a, like a Zweigert, or it's a Zweigert, because it's got the orange on the side. But I think it's just maybe one of their designs there, or their, yeah, like I said, printed things. So it's not dyed. Then the other, not the other piece, but one of the other pieces I got was also a 32 count linen. And this is, picture this plus, so I do know that. And this is the color Pampas. And it is, oh, it's not probably going to show up very well with the lighting in here. I think it's a little bit better if I kind of do something like this. So it's very pretty green. It's almost a little bit limey green. it's, you know, it's pretty bright, but it's also, you know, not like in your face bright. I don't know. I'm really bad at describing colors. But I thought this was just gorgeous. And this is a fat quarter piece, so pretty big. And yeah, I was like, you know, it's a little loud in terms of the color, but I think the potential with this is still a lot, or there's still a lot there. You could do something, you know, for Halloween or Christmas, you know, with this color green, I think can go a lot of different ways. Spring, summer, you know, some different things there. So got that one, again, without really having any sort of idea of what I'm going to do with it. And then the last big piece of fabric that I got was just a piece of, I do believe this is also, this is WIPGO linen. And it's 32 count linen in the color Peaceful Purple. And again, the color might be hard to see. But yeah, this Peaceful Purple. And I think this is a fat quarter. I don't know, it's all folded up and I didn't want to take it out of this yet, but it would probably be nice to see the size. Maybe I'll do that now. But yeah, it's a huge piece, so fat quarter, I guess you could say. But so I got this because I did kind of want a purple piece. Purple is one of my favorite colors, and this is a very, very pretty and peaceful purple, as the name implies. However, I noticed when I first picked this up that the tag said Project Princess Elliana, and I recognized that name, and I realized, and I used my Google skills to confirm that Princess Elliana is the Mirabilia piece that came out. I think it came out in 2020, and it specifically uses all of the 35 new DMC colors that came out in 2017. So I'm going to put a picture of the design here. This is Princess Elliana, and not even kidding. I mean, I didn't even have to Google it because I already had, as like the only thing that I've saved in my like Google Chrome tabs on my phone was this pattern. I have been eyeing this pattern. And so when I saw that they had this piece of fabric that was like, this is the fabric you need. This is the called for fabric. This is the piece that you would need to do this pattern. I was like, well, I got to do it, right? So I went ahead and bought it. They did not, I don't know why I didn't ask. I need to ask when I'm at these places. But I don't believe they had the pattern for Princess Elliana. They just had the linen, but it's not like a difficult one to find. I mean, it just came out a couple of years ago, and I was able to find it in a couple places online. So I have not ordered it or any of the other things that I need for it yet, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be a project I'm going to be starting, because I just think it's so pretty and so fun, and uses all those new colors, and they're gorgeous. And I don't know, Mirabilia is definitely a bit out there in terms of my skill level right now. I still relatively new to stitching, I guess you could say, and so that's going to be quite a task to put myself up to, but have the fabric at a minimum. And even if I decide like a year from now that I don't actually like the design and I don't want to stitch it, it's a very, very pretty purple fabric that I can use for something else. So, and then the last fabric haul that I have from Shepherd's Bush there, I just happened to notice they had a little bin of mostly single pieces of Lady Dot Creates dyed linens. But they had a few packs, and this is one of the packs of kind of a curated little set of linens dyed by Lady Dot Creates. And if you don't know Lady Dot Creates, I'm sure you do. She's very known for like her finishing materials, so little pom-poms or rickrack or velveteen, things like that. So she dyes lots of stuff that people use for finishing items. And I think I maybe had heard or knew that she did some fabric dyeing, but it's not something she like always carries on her Etsy page, or you might be able to find a little bit. So this was I just think awesome. And I mean, look at those colors. I feel like I'm not expressing entirely like how much I love this. But this is what the little tag that was on it. So the collection is called Silly Wabbit. And again, just look at those colors. So fun, so pretty. And yeah, it just says 100% cotton, Owenberg Gatherings. I don't really know what that means, but and then it's 7 1/8 yard cuts. So I mean, this is almost a full yard of fabric, and it was only like $24, and I thought that was a steal for like that much fabric. I mean, I know that they're cut into like smaller pieces, but I mean, for that many different, I mean, a 1/8 yard is still big. Like that's still a big piece of fabric. So I've yet to open this because I just think it's so cute how it's rolled up and everything, and I do want to look at like a single piece, but yeah. So the only thing is, once I got back to the hotel room and realized this doesn't have like the count of the fabric on it, and so that was one thing that I realized I did not know, I guess, about it. When I compared it to one of my 32 count linens, I definitely knew it was a higher count than that. So when I went back the next day, I did get more on my first trip, but jump ahead here. When I went back on the second day, I actually picked up a cross-stitch gauge. So this is the only one they had. I think I was kind of maybe hoping for more of like a little square wooden one or something, but this will work. This will be handy to have in my collection. So this is a cross-stitch gauge from Yarn Tree, which Yarn Tree is actually based in Ames, Iowa, so that's fun. They're not like a real store. I think they're just like a store that you can go into, like a retail brick and mortar store, but they like a warehouse kind of situation. You can order stuff from their website. So anyway, cross stitch gauge. It's got all your different counts, and from what I could tell looking at this, it's still kind of hard to see. It's like hard to you really got to like consciously count and make sure that you are lining things up well, but I'm pretty positive it's a 40 count linen for all of these pieces. So a little bit higher than my, preferred, but still just so fun. And, being that high of count, hopefully there might be more projects that I can fit on the 1/8 yard cut. Maybe that wouldn't otherwise fit on a 32 count for that size. So very exciting. I love this find, and that was great. So yeah, I have the cross stitch gauge, and then the other few things that I got on my first trip over there, they had 11 by 11 Q snap. My biggest one, I have a 6x6 and I have an 8x8, so I do not have anything greater than my 8x8. So I was excited to get an 11 by 11. I'm definitely gonna get this out. They did have some 17. I don't know if it was 11 by 17 or 17 by 17, but I decided just to get the 11 by 11 for now and work my way up. So I just have more Q snaps, so I don't have to always be switching things off in general. But also just something bigger will be nice. I got that. And then as I was checking out, I found this needle minder, this little hedgehog with flowers on it. And the company is Flamingo Toes. Beverly McCullough is the name. And yeah, just a cute little needle minder. So I thought that was adorable while I was checking out. So other than the cross stitch gauge, that was my first trip to the shop. When I went back the next day by myself, I still didn't have a ton of time. I went over after lunch, and then we were kind of meeting up with some people in the afternoon there for a while. So I did just want to go and look at patterns though, because as you can see, I didn't get any patterns that first day that I was there. And I will say I have not been to very many LNSs in general, and it's overwhelming as kind of being somewhat new to stitching and not having started very many projects and still kind of discovering different designers and things like that. Like an LNS, and especially one that has a lot of stuff, can be kind of overwhelming. So even the second day I went back, I just kind of started, I was like, hey, I'm going to pick a designer that I've maybe heard of or, maybe haven't, and just kind of started going through their charts. And, it's just a lot to kind of process and think about. So I only ended up getting 2 charts. And then I got most of the floss that I needed to do those 2 charts. So I will show those. This one I am very, very excited about. This is Blackberry House from Plum Street Samplers. So you've probably seen this before. I know Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch has done this one, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And she got a frame that I'm trying to remember if she like painted, or maybe it just was like a perfect frame that was like very similar to the color of like the cabinet that they have here. But just like turned out so great, and I absolutely love it. So I'm excited to do that. I've never done like a traditional sampler before, and not that I'm not really sure if this even counts as a traditional sampler, but it does have the alphabet on the bottom, so I guess that kind of counts in my mind. So yeah, we'll see when I get to that one, but I was able to get most of the flosses. So they had all but like 3 of them, and I think when I looked those up, they were all kind of varying shades of brown. So I got most of the, yeah, everything else though I was able to get, and these are the colors for that chart, and it's just, oh, it's so pretty. My favorite colors of these are Amethyst. It's got, let me make sure light gets it really well. So it's got this purple and gray, kind of almost a cream almost, variegation to it. Yeah, looking at it, I guess maybe not in the light, it's more of that gray. And then the other one I loved was Cappuccino. Oh, that was from Gentle Arts Amethyst. And then Cappuccino from Classic Colorworks is this very pretty, like pink and brown variegated. Very cute. So yeah, it was a mix. This one calls for a mix of Classic Colorworks and Gentle Arts. So like I said, I got most of what I needed at the shop there for that chart. And then I didn't get a fabric. I realized after the fact, I'm like, I didn't even think about the fabric. So we'll have to find something for that later. But the other chart that I got was Hands-On Design, Stitch in the Garden. And this is actually a series of, or like a little set of charts. There's like 3 different charts. You can't quite see the one because of the sticker, but there's this. This is like a pin cushion. This is a little basket, but like a little small monogram design there. And then this little scissors fob design. Sorry, I can hear my dog getting into something, so I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. So I was talking about this chart. So there's actually 3 little designs there to make 3 different items. And yeah, I actually thought about maybe taking this design and making it into the little basket, or whatever it's called. Basket tray. Instead of like this design. So maybe kind of swapping that one out and doing that. But I don't know. We'll see. I liked the little stitching accessories kind of design, and the colors I thought were really cute. I love Hands-On Design. I love Kathy Haberman. So, I mean, that wasn't surprising that I found something of hers that I liked. And it comes with this little piece of red felt that goes on this pin cushion there. So, yeah, the tray, I'm using that design for the tray. I believe it was Evelyn Across the Pond who made kind of a similar kind of tray, and I can't remember the pattern that she used for it, but it was definitely a different pattern, but it kind of had the same effect of like little stitching supplies and everything, and she made kind of a similar type of tray like this out of that. So I saw this and was inspired by hers, and you know, also obviously had that. And yeah, I thought that was fun. So I did get the called for flosses for this one. And you know, it's funny, when you go to an LNS, you're like, you know, the idea is like, oh, I can go and physically see what I'm getting so that I can, you know, make changes as I think would be necessary. I didn't do that. I just grabbed what it said I needed and left, and I didn't even bother to look at it. So 3 of the colors that were called for made sense to me within the design. These are all Gentle Arts. There's Banker's Gray, and corn husk, which is very pretty, like just slightly green, yellow. And then rhubarb, which is really more like pinky than I kind of thought, but I liked it for kind of what it'll be used for. I thought that was still really pretty. But then the blues that were called for here, I'm not sure exactly what happened with like the colors, if there was something. But so you can see it looks like it's like a navy and like a lighter blue. But when I pulled the colors, or when I looked at it later after I pulled them, these were the colors that kind of, like this was kind of what the navy, and I looked at the pattern to check which one went where. This was like where the navy kind of looked like it would be, and then this tropical, and that's dungarees, and then this tropical ocean, which as you can see is much more, you know, yeah, aqua colored. That would looked like it was supposed to be for the lighter blue there, and that just didn't quite line up with, I think, maybe what I was expecting. Again, I was looking at it later and was like, I don't know if that I like those colors kind of there. So I'm not sure what happened with like the design process, and maybe the colors changed, or I don't know, something along those lines. But I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to use this as the lighter blue, this dungarees, and maybe I have Classic Colorworks Wavy Navy in another project, so I might use that as like the navy blue. But I don't know if I'll start this one like immediately. It won't probably be my February start after hopefully I get my WIPGO goals done. I doubt it'll be my February start for that. So I have some time to figure it out for sure. I'm not like dying to get started on it right away or anything. But yes, those were the colors that I got for that. So in total, got a lot of overdyed flosses. I don't really have a lot, so I am kind of looking to build my collection, and maybe someday I don't need to get exactly what the pattern calls for. I can just kind of refer to my stash and see what I have and try to use what I have. But for now, I'm kind of okay with getting what it calls for and going from there in order to build my stash up. So, and the last thing that I got, that I bought, was John James needles. These are size 24 tapestry petites. These are my favorite needles. I like how short they are. Tapestry petites. I think maybe I've used like 24 and 26 before. I don't know if they had 26, or I just maybe was remembering I used 24. Maybe that's not right. So I think I might have to start using these and see. They look right. I have to see if the 24 feels comfortable, or maybe it was the 26. It's not the needles that I've been using the last month or so have just been the ones I've had, and it's been a while since I bought new ones. So, and I don't have the packaging, I don't think, from the ones that I bought. But I remember they were John James, and yeah, they were smaller, like 24. I think made sense. So, and I knew I liked the petites though. So, so that's everything I bought. There is something, I left it over here. So the last thing that I acquired from Shepherd's Bush, when I checked out both times, they put everything obviously in a shopping bag, and they tied the shopping bag with a ribbon and slid on one of these little pins. So I have two of them. They're just little pins. They're not needle minders, but they kind of got like a safety pin on the back. Just little pins. So they're both right mittens. So they're not like a set that I could put, but I think they'd be fun embellishments on, pattern or something or project later on. So I thought those were really cute. They have little sheep on them, little snowflakes. So that was a sweet little, thing that they did on the packaging there. So that was everything I got from Shepherd's Bush. Definitely, I don't know, when I go through it like that, it seems like a lot and not a lot all at the same time. I don't know, but it's a lot for me for sure. That was a lot of haul, a lot of money spent. So, but happy to support them, and it was a great experience being in their little shop there. So that is all I have for today. So like I said, I will be working on my February WIPGO goals. So definitely see some progress on the Fruit of Plenty and my Christmas wreath, my Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery Christmas wreath by next time. And yeah, otherwise we'll just kind of see where the month goes. If I do get those finished, I'll probably be starting another project, but I want to keep making progress on the ones that I have started, so on that Office Suite Office or things like that. So we'll see what I want to stitch on. Maybe I'll decide that, you know, a new start every month is a lot, kind of in addition to, you know, the WIPs that I'm trying to get accomplished, but I am excited to keep stitching and keep floss tubing and not get sideswept by or sidetracked by, you know, life. Hopefully life doesn't get in the way of me stitching anymore. So thank you for watching, and be sure to like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't. I'm happy to have you here and can't wait to see you next time. Thanks.